Hey, what's up guys, I'm Jordan and welcome back to Victoria 3 as we are playing as the United States. So this will be the third time that I've recorded this episode. Unfortunately having a ton of issues with OBS right now, which is the recording software I use. I've been using this for years, it works very well, haven't had any problems. However, I started using it to record on console rather than Elgato's software, which we've had a lot of issues with. OBS is just a much better software overall. It's also free. So in order to use OBS to record our console gameplay with our Elgato capture card, it did require me to change a bunch of settings in order to get it to work effectively. And then those same settings, they did not work when I tried to record on PC. I didn't think there'd be an issue, but I found out what the problem was. There's a couple of things I needed to change. But the first time I recorded this episode, it was distorted. The video was distorted, so I couldn't upload that. I had to re-record it. And I think everything would have went well with that recording because I did several tests and the settings seemed to be good. But then Victoria crashed. This game doesn't crash a lot, only occasionally. I think through the whole series we probably had, I think that was probably the third crash. So it doesn't crash a lot, but it crashes far more often than any modern Paradox game. I haven't seen this much crashing since, I don't know, maybe Hearts of Iron 3, which obviously that was a much worse situation when that launched. It just was a mess and didn't work at all, and it crashed all the time. So it's not like that bad, but this is probably the worst since then. I can't recall any game I've bought from Paradox at launch where I have had so many problems with the crashing. But yeah, normally when it crashes, OBS just goes to a black screen. I think you guys saw that in this series when we had the last crash. And it keeps recording, just records a black screen, so I can just go ahead and stop the recording and then, get back into the game and then edit them together in the video in my editing software. However, that's not what happened this time. When it crashed, OBS also froze up, and the entire video file was corrupted. And I was at the end of that episode. I had maybe 5 minutes left. It was incredibly frustrating. I tried everything to try and get the file to open, but you can't even open it. It won't do anything. And so unfortunately we lost another video for this episode. So hopefully this time it'll work. Third time's a charm here, but yeah, it's getting a little bit frustrating recording the same video over and over again. So do keep in mind that I have recorded this video multiple times, and so therefore I might forget to do certain things I was supposed to, thinking I had already done it. Just might get a little confused because again, in my mind, I've already done this multiple times. And if you could also provide any feedback if I have any issues in the video. So if there's any graphical issues or audio issues, since this will be the first video you guys have seen with the new OBS settings, because I did change up the settings for my PC recordings as well, because I learned a lot about OBS that I didn't know. So there's certain settings that were better, and that's also how I ended up breaking that first video, because I changed some things I shouldn't have changed. But yeah, this should hopefully look and sound the same, if not better. But if it looks or sounds worse, then just let me know down in the comments below. So let's go and jump into today's video. Something I did in the last two times we recorded this was we took a zoomed in look at the map, because some people have requested me to do so for the last couple episodes, and it's been a while since we looked at the development of our country up close. So we're just going to swing through most of our territory and just see how things have developed. Obviously, you're going to see a lot more urbanization, a lot more buildings. Long Island here is almost completely filled up. Yeah, it's almost completely populated. A little bit of space here, but yeah, Long Island's looking pretty populated. New York continues to expand. This city, I mean, of course. Now, it won't be able to expand this way here, because that's another state of New Jersey. So I don't think the trains are moving yet. I believe we have to play this, and hopefully that'll let the trains kind of start moving. Maybe we'll see them. Yeah, I'm still not seeing any move around, but yeah, I like watching the trains go by. So in Pennsylvania here, you can see that Philadelphia has gotten a little bit larger, but it's not that big. Pittsburgh, same thing. It's definitely more buildings here than we saw at start as we built up the iron mines. But unfortunately, the steel mills, I don't think they're here in Pittsburgh. I think that would go in Philadelphia. So yeah, definitely more urbanized throughout the South as well. There wasn't that many settlements here, but still a lot of open terrain there. Here in Florida, I believe last time I looked at this, we just had Tallahassee. Well, we now have Tampa over here on the coast. No Miami, though. Going to swing through the southern states here. into Texas. So a little bit more people here, as you can see. And then we'll go back up north. You see Detroit has gotten a little bit larger as we built up the motor industry there. Rails going all throughout here. Chicago and Milwaukee are definitely bigger, particularly Chicago here. I don't think either one of these were on the map when we first started. So those are there now. Moving into the Midwest area here. One thing I found interesting here in Kansas is in my first playthrough, Wichita never popped up in Kansas. Instead, it was just Topeka, which is the capital of Kansas. And that popped up first, and there might have been a couple other settlements. I don't recall ever seeing Wichita. But you can see here, Wichita has popped up, but there's no Topeka. This is particularly strange because you can see that we're currently building up the government administration building, and Topeka is actually the capital of Kansas. I thought that was interesting now that I know Kansas a little bit better, because that's where I live now. If you don't know, I moved from Colorado to Kansas, since it does have much cheaper cost of living, and the housing market is fantastic. I was able to get a house that's 2 times the size as my old house for less money. I sold my house for more than I bought this one for, because the markets are so different here. But this is actually pretty representative of what Kansas looks like today. It's just open territory, most of the state. All these are just farmlands and fields. So it kind of looks similar. Wichita is obviously a lot bigger. And of course you have some urban areas all through here along the river. But yeah, most of the state is just open country. Let's swing up here in the north. Not a lot of people up here, as you'd expect. We haven't built much there. So just swinging down south here, going back into Colorado. You see we do have a Denver. It's a small little town here, but no Colorado Springs or Pueblo. Which Colorado Springs, that's where I lived. Salt Lake City. Let's just take a look at New Mexico. You got Santa Fe. Seems like, oh, you got a couple little urban places. I was going to say, it seemed like that was the only urban center. I got Tucson and Phoenix. Apparently Phoenix are quite happy. Look at all these fireworks. Everybody's happy down here. So I'm not entirely sure what results in the fireworks. I imagine you got to have no turmoil, but most of our states have no turmoil, and yet we haven't seen the fireworks elsewhere. Maybe a lot of loyalists or something like that. But yeah, we got the Tucson and Phoenix. I used to live in Phoenix. And then let's just go ahead and start up on the northern part of the Pacific coast here and go down. You see Seattle has gotten much larger. I don't even know if we had Seattle last time we looked at this. Actually, got Portland over here. Just kind of swing down through California. The capital, Sacramento, I think is the biggest urban center here in our state right now. San Francisco, very tiny. Barely any people living in the Bay Area at this moment. And then as we swing down south, you'll see Los Angeles has been built up a little bit. Some people live in there. Obviously not the sprawling urban area that you see today. And no San Diego down here either. So that's what the map looks like zoomed up. I did want to do a little quick view of that. Another thing to mention here is that our President Abraham Lincoln died. Apparently I missed that when it happened. So we currently have a new president, and he's got some very different traits here. He's charismatic, he's a convoy raider, masterful diplomat. That's increasing our influence significantly. That's the reason why we have so much up there. And then he has a few other things that really aren't affecting anything outside of his health. Well, apparently being a cocaine addict makes you more popular because you like to party, I suppose. But yeah, I don't see this guy living very long, considering the fact that he's, got 2 modifiers to his health that are negative here. So yeah, he'll probably die soon. I don't even know if he'll make it to the next election. We'll have to wait and see. So a couple other things I'd like to do here in the beginning. So we're building a lot of government administration buildings. I think we're going to need more, though. I don't even think this will be enough for everything we need to do with that bureaucracy. And one thing I haven't done is built in the District of Columbia, which they actually have a modifier here due to the White House that gives them a 20% government administration building throughput. So this is really the most efficient place to build up the government administration buildings, which makes sense. This is the capital here. The reason why I haven't been doing it is because they didn't have much of a peasant population. They had, I think it just said insignificant for a very long time, which means there's basically nobody to put in those jobs. However, you can see now we got 26,000, so that would be able to staff quite a few levels. So we're actually going to build up 4 more levels here, since again it is the most efficient place to do it. So we'll go ahead and do that, and it makes sense too, again, having those in the capital. So put those there. And then another thing that I forgot to do last episode, we got the tech for our synthetic plants to be able to start producing silk, but I didn't do anything with that. So you might want to go ahead and change that over. Now, changing all of them over obviously would not be beneficial to us. It's going to produce, a lot of silk that we don't need yet, while reducing the amount of dye that we actually do need. So that would cause a lot of problems. Now, the reason why we don't need silk, of course, is because we aren't producing our own silk products, the luxury clothes. So we could just switch that over, and that'll help. However, even that would be too big of an adjustment. Now you see that they'll lose 66,000 doing this. Obviously, that's because there is no silk in our market, so it's going to be very, very expensive. So one thing we could do to improve that is actually stop trading for silk, or maybe not completely stop trading. I'll show you why. And I keep saying silk, I mean luxury clothes. We're trading with France for 1.26 thousand, and so I don't really know that we can make up for that. We just looked at that, and it was not going to produce anywhere near that amount. 440 is what we're going to get for that. So obviously we cannot cut off all trade with France for the silk right now. So we're just going to cut off the trade with the Austrians, and then eventually we'll want to cut this off once we get a bit more of a luxury clothes production going. So let's go ahead and switch back over here. This will make it a little bit more profitable. And we'll only change up one of these. I'm thinking New York, considering the fact that they got the largest number of buildings here. Now, this does result in them losing a ton of money, but again, that's because of the silk problems here. But it's not as bad as it was. So let's go and switch that up. And then we want to go ahead and switch at least one of these. I suppose we could just do New York. And you can see it's nowhere near as bad, the actual loss of income here. Silk will still be too much, so too cheap. So we might still want to make another adjustment here. We'll take a look. We'll give it a second to play before we do that, and see if we even need to. All right, so let's go back into. Let's take a look at the price first, I suppose. Just see what the market price is for silk and luxury clothes. So silk is not too bad. Where's luxury clothes at? Yeah, they're both pretty good right now. So probably want to keep that as is what I'm thinking. Yeah, we'll keep that as is for now. But frankly, we need to step up our production of luxury clothes by a lot, so that we can go ahead and stop trading for it. And the trade with France is just too much right now. So yeah, we'll build up some more of those textile industries. Also, it looks like people are going to start trading for our silk, so that'll actually help those buildings be more profitable. So I think we're going to start preparing for a war soon. We just need to get our economy situated. The Ottoman Empire was just subjugated by France. They agreed to become a protectorate. Wow. They must be doing like really bad. I mean, yeah, we've seen that before. They lost this territory to Russia. Obviously, Egypt has conquered a bit of their territory as well. But this state here, Thrace, being the most notable one they've lost. And so they're not doing great, but I didn't think they were doing that bad. It looks like the Egyptians are also having some problems. A massive aristocratic revolt here. Almost all their territory has revolted against them. So Egypt's doing quite poorly. Okay. So yeah, the Ottomans are now a subject of France. France is becoming so ridiculous powerful. And I had mentioned that I had never seen France become number one before. They're not even number one anymore. It looks like the British are. I always see the British be number one. I actually been playing another campaign, and France is number one in that one as well now. And apparently, that's what's happening to everybody's campaigns. France just skyrockets to the top and does really, really well. So I'm guessing it has to be a difference between the two versions, the pre-release version and the version we're all playing now, where France is doing so well. Because in my first two campaigns, they did well. I think they were up there. but they weren't number one. But now it seems like they're always number one. So we got the multilateral alliances. This is going to give us more maneuvers in the diplomatic play, allow us to do more. Also, we can have multiple alliances. Speaking of allies, we need to see if they're willing to ally with us. No, unfortunately not. In this episode, I'd like to start preparing for a conflict, most likely with Canada. And we have a lot of things we need to do. And before we can really start doing those, we've got to build some of this stuff here. So we're going to finish all that up before we start building up the military, because frankly, if we're going to fight the British, at the very least, we need to build our fleet up more, because it's just too small to even really contend with them. So we're going to want to do that. And with that in mind, maybe we should go ahead and start getting military techs. Yeah, I think we should, guys. There's a lot of good stuff here to get. But I think it would be most wise to get military techs. We'll just see if there's anything in these other techs that would be really helpful for us. I think that's what we're going to do, guys. Just focus on the military. And we're just talking about the fleet. So why not get the monitor, which if we help research that, we can get it done in 3 to 5 months. So let's go and do that. Get that researched, since we've already got a lot of progress from the spread. So we'll get that, and then we can update our fleet. So again, lots and lots of people migrating to our country. And that's been a consistent, consistent thing for us. So that's why our population has been increasing so rapidly, 248,000 almost annually. We also finished up the skyscraper survey. Excellent. So our architects and engineers have identified New York as the optimal site to begin construction of a skyscraper. All right, so if we say lay the foundations, that's going to give us 10% construction sector building throughput. And it's going to cost us 500 bureaucracy. Okay. So let's go ahead and get that constructed. So we'll do that in here, and it's just like any other building here in the urban section. We build a skyscraper. And I think we're going to throw that up to the top as well. Yeah, I should have done that. Alt-clicked it. Yeah, we'll put that up at the top so we can get it done. It'll be 50 weeks, so it's going to take a while. So we'll start working on our first skyscraper. That'll complete this objective here, which will give us the touching the sky modifier, which I think is just extra prestige. Looks like we got some stuffs going on over here. Yeah, I've seen a lot of people that feel the same in regards to this notifications over here, just how useless this all is. It's full of crap you don't need to know. And then occasionally there's super important stuff here that you just miss because, it's again, there's just so much other stuff in here. So I really hope we see, I just cannot get these things to go away. I really hope we see some changes there that particularly if they give us the option to customize what all we see. So a couple things to react to. We've got an event, and we also have that diplomatic play we just got those notifications about. Crooked Connections. Frustrated with the lengthy legal process surrounding workers' protections, Articus Slim of the trade unions has approached us with an offer to expedite the process, utilizing his personal connections within the state apparatus. So we can grant him permission, time is of the essence. That will reduce the approval of the industrialists, which they're currently neutral, but it gives us a 20% enactment bonus here. Or we can reduce the enactment chance. Okay, so we're going to do that. It didn't actually seem to have that effect. Yeah, because we were at 25%. We just got gypped, man. They ripped us off. Oh yes, I forgot we did have this here that we're probably going to declare ourselves neutral in. There's no Europeans getting involved, so yeah, we're just going to declare ourselves neutral. I think that was probably a revolution. Yeah, military revolt that's going on right now. So lots of conflict down here in South America. And more South Germans coming. Although that might not have been to us. I didn't look at the location, but yeah, a lot of times you get notifications that they don't actually have anything to do with you. It's just you have those pops in your state, and they'll be in your states, and they'll be affected by it. We have an inactive trade route, trading for wine here. Also, Pennsylvania now doesn't have enough taxation capacity. Well, let's just take a look, see if we're already building up the government administration buildings. We are. So we'll get that fixed already. So we're 6 weeks away from fixing that. So no problem there. The trade route, though, that will have to be adjusted. So this is, of course, because of that war that's going down there. So we can just leave it as is. You know, if wine's not too expensive, then we don't even need to do anything about it. Yeah, I think we're fine. A lot of other problems here that need to be dealt with, though. Yeah, like the dye being too expensive. Yeah, that's a bit of a problem. But yeah, we'll have to wait until we get this other stuff constructed. We're currently working on a lot. We got a lot of things we're getting, particularly those government administration buildings, so we can get that bureaucracy that we need here. Because we really need to get a whole bunch of stuff going on here. Jesus. Some Polish people migrating to South Carolina. We got that tech. And what all happened here? Looks like a big war is about to take place over Italy. So we're going to want to take a look at that, guys. I think we might have an interest in Italy now. I don't remember where all we added interest to, but yeah, something's going on over there. So we'll take a look after we get a tech selected, because we did just get the monitors. And you know, we're probably going to want to go ahead and change that up now before I forget. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll go into the naval bases and get these changed over to monitors. Now, you notice that it is going to cause problems with ammunition and ironclads, so we're going to need to get those fixed. The ammunition I'm not so worried about because we have trade routes we can make adjustments to. That shouldn't be an issue. We'll just cut off some of the trade routes. I don't think there's any other things we got here that we actually want to make use of. But yeah, it's always nice to come in here every once in a while and just take a look, make sure there's nothing that would be better option for you. So let's go and get this tech selected. And the French actually want alliance as well. So we'll probably agree to that. And that'll really help us out. We'll see what's happening with this war, but we might be taking advantage of this. So as far as what we're going to get next, maybe the wargaming. Yeah, maybe we'll get the wargaming here. The other option would be trench works. Both of these are good. Yeah, both of these are good to get. I mean, we could do either, really. They're both level 4. I guess we'll do the trench works first. The one problem with trench works, though, is that it reduces the provinces captured, so you advance much slower. You know, I don't think that's going to be necessary. We'll do the wargaming first, and then we'll do trench works. So it gives you a lot of nice modifiers, but you know, against the enemy you're already superior to, like Mexico or Canada, and you're taking lots of territory, you know, you don't want that the amount that you're taking after each battle being reduced. So we're going to accept their alliance. So let's go ahead and take a look at what's going on with this diplomatic play in Italy. So it seems like the two leading Italian, well, I was going to say the two leading Italian powers, but it looks like Two Sicilies has already conquered Sardinia. Yeah, there's really not much left of them. So is this just annexing them, subjugating them? This is probably key for their attempt to form Italy. But yeah, Two Sicilies has been doing pretty well, conquering the north, it appears. So what's interesting here is that you've got two great powers involved. That's the reason I want to look at this, because I saw that both Austria and Russia started mobilizing. Okay, so I think we're going to change up our initial plans here, guys. Yeah, so with the Russians fighting the Austrians, we'll wait to see if this actually breaks out before we do anything. Well, let's go and start building up our military now. We'll just have to tick it above some of these government administration buildings. Maybe just let a few of these, particularly the ones in Pennsylvania, to actually build. Yeah, so let's go and start working on all the military stuff that we want to get. We'll probably do the fleet first because they take longer to actually, you know, get the ships out there. So let's go and get the naval bases. As far as how large of a fleet we're looking to get, I'm thinking like 20 ships at least, if not 40. Because that'll give us 100 ships. It'll still be pretty small compared to the great powers in the world and their fleets. 176 for the British, 256 for the French. Russians 148, 123 for Austria. So I mean, we don't have a big navy compared to them, but at least we'll be, you know, somewhere in the same numbers. We could at least defend our own territory effectively. You know, when they have like 2 to 3 times the ships we do, we're gonna have issues trying to at least defend our own coastline here. As far as how many, or excuse me, where we want to build these ships, how many in each area. We also need an admiral here for the Dixie HQ apparently, when those 20 ships. I think we should get 20 in the Pacific Coast HQ, so a new area. And then maybe 20 more in New England. Now he wouldn't be able to control all those, so you'd have to get another admiral here or promote him. But yeah, I think that's what we're gonna do, guys. All right, so let's go and start working on this. We'll do the ones over here first. And so it's gonna be like 10 in California, and then 5 in Washington and Oregon each. And then we'll get them creased over here as well. So let's go with 5 more in Massachusetts, 5 more in New York. It looks like Connecticut has a pretty high peasant population, so could do 5 there. And we haven't built much in Maine, I noticed, so we're going to go ahead and do 5 there. And so that's 5, 10, 15, 20. All right, so we should be good to go. That's our 40 ships. And then barracks is the next thing we're going to want to get here. Let me just take a look at our army situation, see where we want to build these. So the Dixie HQ currently has 2 different generals, but they only control 5, so you still only have 10 units down there. So I think we're going to want to build more units there. See, we're currently sitting at 61, so that's one of them is in Cuba here. So this is what we're going to do. Let's go in and get, I'm thinking like 20 more battalions would be good. And 10 of those will be in the south and maybe 10 in New England. So I actually decided to get all 20 here in the south, and we're also going to build 1 more in Cuba for a garrison force, so they can defend Cuba if it gets invaded. Obviously 2 units is not going to be much, but yeah, it helps, I suppose. All right, so that's all of our units, and we're going to need to, what we're going to do is we're going to tick down some of these. Not all of them. We'll just tick down, probably from here on down. Yeah, we'll do it that way. And then finish building this stuff here before we start working on the naval bases and the army bases. All right, so we're going to let this play here and see what happens before we start anything. But what I'm thinking about doing, guys, rather than attacking Canada, is instead attacking Mexico, because we now have France as an ally. So again, we're in that situation where we don't have to worry so much about them having that defensive pact, hopefully anyways. And then you have the Russians, who are already in another war. Now they're automatically going to get pulled in, but the thing is here that they might not be able to help out at all, like what happened last time, because they're going to be so distracted with the other conflict that's taking place. So yeah, we'll see, guys. Looks like they want us to join their side for an obligation. I think this is the first time anybody has offered us anything, for the swaying. We haven't seen this yet. So this is the side with the Russians, and they're just trying to survive the war. This is just the standard default setting. They just don't want to get subjugated. Well, I don't really need an obligation from them, and I don't really want to help out in this conflict, so we're going to say no. Interesting that we actually got an offer finally. Some people are actually starting to recognize the United States as a world power. This might be a number 3 in the world. Nobody really seems to care about us much outside of trying to impede our efforts to expand. But yeah, I think we might go after our Mexico guys. If this ends up taking place, I don't see any reason not to. And, we need to get the fleet built up and the army built up and all that kind of stuff, so that takes some time as well. So you got this diplomatic play to see if it takes place, which looks like it will. So once it gets to this point here, we can feel confident it is going to take place. Yeah, it's going to take place, guys. Again, we'll wait until the war starts before we start the diplomatic play, so the Russians will know, hey, we're already at war. We're already involved in a conflict. So I had forgotten that they were already dealing with a civil war as well. So wow, that's just compounded on top of this new war. Yeah, that's an issue for him. So let me just see if there's anything here. Looks like whatever that was, it disappeared already. We can support more interest. Okay. So yeah, we'll go ahead and add somebody there. Looks like we did not have the Italians yet. So we could go ahead and add them into our interest, or we could go somewhere else. We've already started with Japan here, so if we wanted to like add in Indonesia and say that we're concerned about that area, we could do that. And this is because of the fleet we're building up, I think. I think that's where we got it. So yeah, I could do the Italians, but I think we are going to start moving over this way now. Let's say we're interested in Indonesia, which also includes the Philippines. Yeah, we'll add them for now. And is there another one? There's another one we can add. Okay. We could go with somewhere in Africa. Could go with China as well and say we're interested in that area. Yeah, I guess we'll do North China. Not that we actually are interested in those areas right now, but yeah, we'll go and add them in there. All right, so we've got the fleet built, and now we're working on the troops, getting those barracks constructed. Remember, those ships do take a while to actually get constructed. So the industrialists have agreed to state-mediated negotiations with the trade unions over the implementation of workers' protections. So hopefully this time we actually get the enactment bonus. Now maybe I just read it wrong. I could have swore it said, maybe it was reduction of the enactment time. Maybe that's what it was, instead of the actual success chance. In which case, I don't know if I would have done that. Although, yeah, we didn't want to reduce the chance either, though. Yeah, it could have been enactment time. I just read it wrong. So if we support the trade unions, this will increase the enactment time, while also increasing the enactment success chance, and give us 5% more loyalty with the lower strata pop. So pretty useful there. Or you can do the concessions to the industrialists, which is the exact opposite option. So that will basically reduce the chance. That's what's important here. Now you are getting 10% of upper strata pop, so that's still a small fraction of overall people, because most people are lower strata. I think, I don't actually know. We'd have to look at our population and see how that's faring. But yeah, I think we're gonna do this one, guys. I think that would be more loyalists, and most importantly, we don't want to decrease the chance. We're trying to increase it. What's the point of making enactment time quicker if you have no chance of actually passing it? So we're going to support the trade unions here, guys. And that'll get us up to 35%. Yeah, I think what happened is I reduced the time, guys, and I just didn't see that. I don't know if you can hover over this and see. Maybe that's what this is? I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, I'm guessing that's what happened. I just read it wrong. And so we didn't get gypped, probably. As automatically start blaming the game. So it looks like that war has broken out. All right, awesome. So yeah, I think we're gonna go ahead and start up the play for Mexico, guys. So we're gonna try and puppet them rather than annex them. And here's the reason why. If you look at what it's gonna cost us in infamy, so to make them a puppet, it's 85.2. Incredibly expensive, obviously. Yeah, it's very, very expensive. Infamy wise, it's very close to the 100 you don't want to get to. So pretty dangerous just making them a puppet because how large they are. But if we were to try and conquer their territory, we wouldn't be able to get anywhere near as much. To get that same, just at the same place, it's going to be like maybe 6 states is what we'd be able to get. So just kind of up here on the up along the borders, that alone is 4, and maybe get 2 more. Yeah, because it's a good chunk of infamy. Maybe not all of them. Some of these aren't that bad. That's 8.9. But yeah, most of them are going to pay at least 10. At least on the borders that we're looking at. I suppose that one's only 7. That one's 20.7, but that's in the center. So I don't know that we would actually be getting that one. A lot of these are treaty ports. That's not what we're trying to get. Yeah, I mean, this one's 30 where their capital is. So, I mean, you'd only be able to get the border provinces and maybe 2 more, maybe 3 more, depending on how expensive they all are. So this is going to be multiple wars, more than likely 3 wars if we try and annex all of it. I think it just makes more sense to, rather than try and annex all this, to instead just make them into a puppet. And you can always annex them later when they're a puppet. So I think this is just a better option. We get all of Mexico in one shot for a bunch of infamy, of course, but Yeah, I think that's probably the better option, guys, rather than just taking a few border provinces and slowly doing this. And the reason why, if Mexico wasn't such a hassle to attack, wasn't in a defensive pact with both France and Russia, then I'd be fine doing it piecemeal. But every time we want to go to war with them, we have to have the perfect right situation, and we have to fight Russia. And so I just want to get this done with, guys. So that's why we're going to do it. We'll do it this way. We're just going to make him a puppet in one war, hopefully. Yeah, we'll see how this goes. Obviously, infamy is going to be horrible for a time. So that means Canada's going to have to wait even longer. But at least we got our southern border secure, because I don't think we'll go any further. So yeah, let's go after Mexico, guys. Do the diplomatic play in order to make them into a puppet. So I took a moment to save the game and to stop my recording and start a new one, because this is where the game crashed before, not with a war with Mexico, it was with Canada and Britain. It seems like that's where I always experience the crashes, is when I go to war, usually when I'm raising up troops. It seems that there's some bugginess with that. We've seen that earlier in the series. We had a crash while we were raising troops up, and that was the same situation. I was actually raising up my conscripts, and then it crashed. So I'm saving it now. I stopped the recording, so that's saved. I can't lose that. And if we get a crash again from the war, which it might happen, at least we'll be able to pick up here. Or autosave or whatever. Again, I'm just hoping that the video doesn't get messed up. So Mexico's adding these in here. These war goals. Let's go and take a look at what those are. They're, of course, going to want their territory returned. We could also add some stuff in here that doesn't do infamy, like something against Russia. So again, we don't want to do anything that does result in infamy. But we have all these maneuvers to make use of, and looks like Persia might actually get involved. We'll see if they do or not. Yeah, I think it makes sense to use some of these maneuvers, since we can never get anybody to join our side. Nobody's really interested in it. We don't even have France that's going to get involved, because remember they had that defensive pact, so they have a choice here. So we won't even have them as an ally unless they decide to support us, which seems pretty unlikely. So yeah, we're going to do the war reparations. We could do it with both Mexico and Russia. We could do all of them as well, I suppose. But all the things we add, even if they don't increase infamy, has a chance of getting more people involved. And I suppose it doesn't make any sense to do war reparations for Mexico, because they'll be a subject. So you know what we'll do with Russia? Now, let me just see if there's anything else we might want to do with Russia. I don't think so. I mean, you can always try and hurt them. Make them like, release a subject or something. But Russia's really not an enemy. We're only fighting them over Mexico. And so I don't really see doing anything else outside of reparations. And we could do it with the other countries as well. Though I wonder how much money that will generate. GDP is pretty low for some of these countries. Costa Rica's probably not even worth it. I suppose we could do El Salvador and Guatemala. I don't know how much income that's really going to generate for you. But yeah, we'll go and do that. Alright, so we're good to go here. No more war goals that we'll be adding. I just don't think it's worth it. You see Mexico is uncertain, even with Russian support here. But I highly doubt they're going to back down, considering the stakes. The fact that they would become a subject. I'm sure they want to keep their independence. So I do believe this will result in a war. Well, we're not going to raise up our troops just yet. We're going to wait a little while. Give it a bit of time here. And we're still building these barracks as well. Looks like we just finished those. All of them except for this one here. The one in Cuba, which is just a defensive one anyways. Alright, so I think we'll go ahead and start mobilizing now. And we still don't have this law done yet, unfortunately. When I did the last video, I was able to get the law done in time for the conflict. And then I made use of our authority for something else. But yeah, it looks like we won't be able to do that, because I'd like to keep the enactment time reduction. So we have to wait on that. We did get an event about the California cyclone. So a cyclone has hit the state of California from the sea, tearing through homes and people alike. So we say a tragedy, well, what can be done? So that's 25% devastation, and there's a chance that a famine will occur in the upcoming months. Or instead, we can say we should put some money into relief, and that is going to be quite expensive for 5 years. Jesus. Yeah, that is so expensive. Alright, I guess we'll say tragedy, but what can be done? And then we'll just have to pay all that. We have a nice gold reserve, but that's going to deplete really quick, particularly once we raise up our troops. So we're probably going to have to start taxing a bit more. We currently aren't running any consumption taxes. So yeah, we're going to have to add something here, guys. So we'll probably just do services. I don't really want to spend all that authority because I'm trying to keep the enactment time up. I don't know what we have to keep it at exactly at this moment. But yeah, there's nothing else that's really going to get you that amount. Luxury clothes, you get 100 here. It only costs 100 and it gets you 24,000, so it'll pay for that. Yeah, I think it just makes sense to go ahead and do the services, and we'll be still making a profit. Maybe not once we raise up our troops, which we're going to go ahead and do that now, actually. Let's go and get them raised, and I don't think we're going to raise, in this war, I don't think we're going to raise any conscripts until we know we need them. We'll just raise up our regular army. We did just build it up for that exact reason. You know, we're sitting at 73 at the moment, but yeah, we'll have 82 once we get all of them built up here. So that's what we're going to do. We're only going to raise those up. And I suppose we can just go in and click mobilize all generals and just make sure that we don't need additional generals. I want to say we shouldn't because I built all those in the Dixie HQ and we already have 2 generals there. So we should be good to go. So let's go and get these mobilized. And that's going to be the 71 battalions that are currently built. The 2 additional ones that we won't be using will be the ones that are in Cuba. And it's going to be 16.2 thousand to get all those mobilized. So we're still making really good money here. And then I suppose we can go and get them set up on their borders as well. So with the Midwest HQ, he's going to be doing the advanced front. Yeah, because he's the expert offensive planner. Peter's going to be staying on standby since he'll be doing the naval invasion as we typically do. And then with our 2 Dixie HQ, because remember Simon here is still broken. He's 70 years old, so you'd expect he'd die soon, right? Eventually he's over here on his vacation just getting paid to do nothing. So with him we can't do anything there. With these guys, probably going to have them both set to defense. I mean, he's good at the offense, so maybe we'll switch him up. But what I was thinking is one of them would come over and help with the naval invasion. So for right now, we'll put him on defense. And maybe we'll change it up a bit later. So 41 units coming over to this front where Mexico currently has 8. That is all. That's all they got. So just looking at their totals, they have 10 total. And they start raising up the conscripts. That'll be 26. So obviously they won't even have enough for just the army we have here, let alone the naval invasion. So we should do pretty good there. So I wasn't sure if we'd actually get this war started in this one. Well, it looks like we should get it kicked up. We won't be able to fight it all that much. We obviously won't be able to finish it or anything. And Mexico is now dealing with the revolution. Wow, and Russia abandoned them in that. Now, still results in them being pulled into this. Yeah, this is actually unfortunate. We've seen how revolutions cause problems. See, I'm not entirely sure what's going to end up happening here. Yeah, it's just broken, guys. That's a bummer that's happened. Because I feel like this is going to result in us losing what we're trying to get here. And also, okay, we got 20 there, waiting for the other ones to get there. Yeah, this is not gonna, we can't do this invasion here anymore. Now we gotta do it over here. I suppose you can support, I mean, I don't even know if you could do that, right? Because we're already going to war with Mexico. So yeah, it's not even an option because we're opposing them. So all we can do is support the revolutionary Mexico. So basically we have to get this war done before the revolution is over and then attack the revolutionaries. Now, I can see that maybe raising up the conscripts is what caused the problem here. So now they're rebelling against, being conscripted. That's my guess anyway. But yeah, very unfortunate, guys. That's going down this way. But at least our war will start before there, so we can try and get some of this conquered here. And let's go start an import route for paper. I did forget to take a look at our ammunition, see if it really did get, expensive. So we still have all the same goods that are really expensive here. It's not really an issue. Looks like silk has become stupidly cheap. So that's a problem. So we need to step up our production of luxury clothes, but those are cheap as well. So what I might just end up doing is canceling some of this. Yeah, we'll just go and cancel that as well, since we're not even getting anything from it. Maybe because I got raided or something. Could have just been not profitable though. I didn't really look at that closely. But yeah, I think we're gonna go ahead and end the luxury clothes one, guys. I know that this is gonna cause problems, as we can't produce 1.32 thousand. But it's going to be the rich people in our market that are going to pay for that, so they'll be fine. Look at this, the buy orders, 1.5 thousand to 238. So yeah, let's go ahead and get those production methods changed over. That will result in clothes getting expensive too, but we can just fix these with trade, I think is what we're going to do here. So do we want to change them all over, or just some of them? Because if we change them all over, and just take a look here, that'll produce 330. So that does result in clothes getting more expensive, but silk will get more expensive. So, okay, so this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna change them all up, guys. And then what we'll do is just take a look at the silk prices. So silk is now 16%, so don't actually need to make too many adjustments there. So as you could, but they're already making a huge profit since clothes are worth so much. And you have to make a huge difference there. So we are going to have to trade for some. I expected that. We just don't need to trade for 1.5 thousand from the French. And so it would have adjusted itself, or it's supposed to, but a lot of times it doesn't seem to do that. It doesn't seem to adjust itself. It doesn't ever decrease it. It's always just going up. So we could just trade for what we need here with the French. I bet that was horrible for France's economy as well when we canceled that. Sure, that hurt them some. Because yeah, that's, you know, a lot. But yeah, we'll just keep on building these up, I think. So maybe, I mean, we got to wait until we actually have some construction here. So we'll just wait. But yeah, we've got a lot of trade goods that are too expensive at the moment. All right, so the war has broken out. Let's go and turn this down some. I mean, not that slow. We'll go to speed 4. And just see if there's anything here that's important. I think, you know, the Russians are pulling out of this. So there's that. But yeah, we will outnumber them here. Russia's going to send 25 units there. And we're going to have to do the naval invasion over here this time to get to the capital. So all the way around. That is not the most efficient way of going, guys. But yeah, that's the way we're going to have to do it. So let's go and take a look at our fleet. So we do need admirals. Yeah, it looks like we need a couple admirals, one for the Dixie HQ and one for the Pacific Coast. So we're going to start with the Dixie HQ. And it looks like we have 2 sets to pick between. So one's with the Southern Planters, the other's with the Armed Forces. As far as traits go, they're both expert naval commanders. He's ambitious, though, and a celebrity commander, so he'll better command more ships. Well, he's an explorer and a bandit. Yeah, we're going to go with Seth Dickinson. And then for the Pacific Coast HQ, still have the other Seth here, and we got George Dewey. Okay, so this is another historical admiral. He was the only admiral to reach the rank of like 5-star Admiral of the Navy in American history, I believe. I don't think anybody's ever been given that rank before. Also, he was a commander in multiple wars, on the Union side of the American Civil War, and also in the Spanish-American War. So kind of a famous admiral in American history here. And although he's not as good as Seth over here with the experienced naval commander, he is brave and persistent, which are both good for a commander. The morale damage protection is going to be solid. So we're going to go with him. I think it makes most sense, and yeah, historical reasons too. All right, excellent. So we've got our 2 admirals assigned, and it's going to be Matthew Perry doing the invasion again. So let's go ahead and set him up to do the naval invasion over here this time. I suppose if we do it here, yeah, we can get this finished up and then push north. I guess that's what we'll do. We'll do the invasion here with Peter. So that's been executed. Let's go and take a look at the rest of our admirals. decide what we want them to do. The Russians might attempt naval invasions, so we could do a bit of raiding as well. But let's protect our Pacific coast because that's where Russia's the closest to. So we'll protect that with the Pacific HQ. So we're going to have them, they're already doing patrol coast over here. And then with Seth Dickinson in the Dixie HQ, we'll take a look and see if there's any convoys to raid here. Okay, so it'd be on this side here, so that is where their supply is going through. Alright, so we're going to raid right there, I think. Because there you're going to hit both Mexico and Russian supply networks here. Now you could, of course, just click on it to see, you know, what they're actually trading here. Because that's important, obviously. So you got the Russian shipping lanes, and then they're getting, well, they're not actually getting the paper from California anymore. And then there's the port connection, too. So yeah, I think that's the best location for us to do it. So we'll raid that convoy line here. And do a little bit of raiding, see if we have any success there. And then these troops here will hopefully have supply issues. Alright, so we've already got everybody moved over here. 2 defending, 1 advancing. We might just have both advance though. Now, the advancing general can take troops from those other armies there. He's not just forced to use his own. So let's see how many we had here. So 16 and 4. Look at our offense compared to their defense. Significantly higher, guys. So we should do really, really well here. However, we did get a bad battle condition, mud. So we're going to capture less provinces, and they're exhausted. So we finished up the construct a skyscraper. So that's going to give us that prestige for touching the sky. So construction of the New York skyscraper in New York is complete, dominating the skyline. It inspires all who gaze upon it. So 25 prestige. So let me just take a look at when this is going to be done. 38 days to get that conducted. So it's still 50 days, despite the fact that we have to go all the way around South America. So that makes a lot of sense. It's 50 days regardless. Okay, I thought it was based on location, but apparently not. It's interesting. All right, so now we have 2 fronts over here, it looks like. So might need to micro this a little bit. So probably have, yeah, see, they did not go. Well, you know, he's an offensive guy. Yeah, that'll work fine. So what we'll have happen here is he'll advance then on this front. And so he'll push forward here, and we'll keep everything as is over here on this front. So I keep on pushing forward there. And hopefully we can win this war quickly with, you know, minimal costs. We are actually earning a lot more money now. Okay, that's interesting. Not entirely sure we got all that extra money from. Probably lost a modifier that was costing us. Oh, we're not building anymore. Okay, so we need to do something there. Also, because we got all those government administration buildings, we now have a bunch of extra bureaucracy. Okay, so let's go ahead and take care of all this. So we'll start with the buildings here, see what all we need to get. Wine is a serious problem, and that's probably because that trade route that we're not getting anything from the Russians. So yeah, that's an issue. So we'll just cancel all this. We can always enact it later. Start it back up, but we need to take care of this now. So yeah, let's go and trade with somebody else for wine. See how much we can get. So we can get a lot from China. I think we need a lot though. Yeah, quite a bit, but at least we can reduce the cost here. That's not going to help much. So yeah, we'll just do these 2. That'll reduce the cost by some. And obviously not going to fix the high cost problem that we're facing. The luxury clothes. So I'm surprised that we're still having issues there. Are we not getting the trade with France? Or is it just hasn't built up enough? That's probably what it is. We're still trying to get that built up. And I believe we've already changed all the buildings over, right? Let me just double check, but yeah, I think we did. Yeah, so there's not much else to be done there. So we can just wait until the the trade builds up. Looks like for now, our rich pops will just have to spend a lot of money on that. Dyes, though, we can go ahead and fix that. And then the sulfur also can be fixed. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with the dyes. And go ahead and get that fixed by building up the synthetic plants here. So as far as where we currently have them, you know, in New York, that's going to result in us getting, you know, a lot of silk that we don't really need. I think silk is pretty cheap here, so probably won't build there. It'd make more sense to continue building in California. And we're going to get this going up by, I mean, we need a lot, so I think we're going to just build them up by 10. It's going to be a big focus of California, apparently, is those synthetic plants. So we'll get those going, and the next thing we need is the sulfur. Oh, that's gold mines. We need sulfur. All right, just continue building where we already got some, and we can keep going in California. California's got a lot of peasant pops there, so it makes sense. And maybe do some more in, could do more in Iowa. Yeah, we'll do some more in Iowa as well. All right, so that's the sulfur. Coffee, obviously only one place to get the coffee here in Cuba. But like 2 more levels of that. So next is sugar. We're gonna get some sugar plantations going over here. So we've already got several levels of sugar plantations in Cuba, a lot. So let's go and get them up to 20. And then we'll start building in other locations that also have a lot of peasants. So it looks like West Virginia could use some stuff. So let's go, again, we're gonna build a bunch of these. So we got the one there. We'll go 1 in Georgia, 1 in Texas, and 2 in West Virginia. So I think that should be like a total of 5 or so. And lead, need more of that. And the explosives. And ironclads has gotten very expensive as well. We'll see if we need to change up the shipyards at all before we build anything there. But yeah, lead and explosives. We'll just do those for now. So let's go and start with the lead here. I must have blown right past it. There it is. So we're going to start with the lead. And we're going to do these, I think in Missouri. Get 2 of those there. And then the explosives, we'll go ahead and get those constructing as well in the chemical plants here. So I'm not entirely sure who's building what. I want to say all of them are focused on explosives. There is a production method, though. You know what? Let me take a look at that real quick. I don't know if we changed over all of these just yet. I want to say there's one more. Yeah, there is one more. This would increase the cost of electricity by lots, but it would greatly reduce the cost of explosives. And be more profitable as well, but fertilizer will end up becoming too expensive. That's interesting. So yeah, we'll do this, and then we'll just have to get the electricity, and then we'll tick that up to the top. We always are needing more power plants. So yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and do 2 levels of these and put them at the top, since electricity should get pretty expensive from all that. All right, so yeah, we're pretty much good there. Though there was one thing I wanted to look at. Yeah, the shipyards, and see if we can improve that through a production method. Because yeah, I think we don't have all of our buildings doing it. Yeah, there's this one here, so you could do it that way. Steamers are kind of cheap right now. Are these on extensive? They are. They're both on extensive. They'd make a lot more profit as well. It really balance it out a lot, so it makes a lot of sense to just go and switch them over to extensive. Man, I'm like hungry. My stomach is growling. I ate a small lunch today. All right, so I think we're pretty good there. So we're gonna let it play 1 week, and unfortunately, we're gonna have to end today's episode here. We did sink 22 convoys. All right, good job, Seth. And we have advanced the front here and here, so we're moving into Baja California. So we'll slowly move down that way. Under our 1 general there, while other 2 generals. Oh, it's kind of like all over the place, huh? Yeah, it's a little bit of a mess here with the revolution and stuff. So what we could do is switch these up. Yeah, I think we should switch James up. James Longstreet to advance in one of these other areas. Maybe like right here. So he'll advance there. our other general stays over here. And we're also waiting for that naval invasion to take place as well before they end up losing all that territory. So that's going to be happening in just 4 days here, guys. We could let that play real quick so we can see it happen. And this is about to take place, which I don't think I can... Yeah, I'm not sure what's going to happen. Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with that, guys. We'll have to see. But yeah, there's a gold rush in Nevada. So we're going to do... Spread the word, perhaps. I mean, it would be nice to get more money, so I guess we'll do that. Let's get more money, guys. And they've got plenty of people rushing there already. So yeah, now we have the gold rush in Nevada. Yeah, it's too late for us to really do anything here now. But there's not much we could do anyways. So what I'm thinking is I'm just hoping that France can help the regular Mexico defeat the revolution. But I don't know. I don't know if they're going to have any fronts by that point because we're over here destroying Mexico. So I don't know what's going to happen. We'll have to wait and see, guys. Let's let this naval invasion fire. There we go. So we've taken this territory over here and we'll advance in the front. I was going to give them additional troops, but that's unnecessary at this point. We've already almost won this. This will be done here soon. But then the question of what happens with revolutionary Mexico, because they'd be at war with our puppets. So yeah, we'll just have to wait and see, guys. But this is probably going to require an additional conflict, I would assume. And they actually have a lot more battalions. Revolutions get some extra battalions. So that'd be a more difficult conflict. Now, they don't have any allies, though, from what I saw there. So that's our conflict. So we'd have to click on their war and just take a look. I don't think they did. Yeah, it's just France that came to the assistance of Mexico because they still have that defensive pact. So at least France will be there helping them. But yeah, I don't think Mexico is going to hold out very long. So we'll get them defeated and then we'll see what happens next. Is there anything here we need to be aware of? Pennsylvania is still having taxation problems despite us getting those. Maybe they didn't finish yet. No, these are all the District of Columbia ones. So clearly Pennsylvania has gotten a lot of people coming in or something. Unless it really increased their population. Because yeah, they're having a lot of taxation capacity issues. We did build a little bit there, but... yeah, I'm not entirely sure what happened there. Clearly, we need to build it up higher. So let's go and get 2 more levels. And, you know, I should have ticked those all the way up to the top since this is a major issue for them. So go ahead and do that real quick. And as far as anything else in here, the fertilizer problems, we can also get more interest. So we'll have to do all that in the next episode. But hopefully, everything should have worked out with this one now. I haven't had any crashes yet. So... yeah, hopefully we can get this one out here and we won't have any more problems as we just kind of make these adjustments with OBS and, you know, our recording software. And I hope I don't have that problem again where every time Victoria crashes, which, you know, again, it does it maybe every, I don't know, 8 or 9 videos or whatever, we have a crash here. And hopefully I don't just lose the video every time because, yeah, that's obviously not sustainable. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. If you did, make sure you leave a like on it, subscribe to our channel, hit that notification bell, and leave a comment. Do hope to see you on the next one. And thanks for watching.